There are houses in America that have seen more guns in them than a fresh vegetable.
Didn't worry about her purse. She didn't look at me sideways. And I cried. I cried when I left because for the first time, I was able to be just an American.
So baby, sit down, let's over. I wanna kiss it. And baby, sit down, let's over.
Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. It's Sam.
And it's the man, the myth, and legend, Josh.
And we are
Josh and Sam.
I want to say thank you for coming back to our channel. If you're new here, welcome.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we're going to be watching a video. It's called America Living Abroad. The first time you realized America really messed up. I'm kind of already aware of this because I'm black. So, not saying America is a bad place, but just saying it has its flaws as well as other countries.
Absolutely.
So, I'm excited about this video. I've never seen this.
Yeah, I've never been abroad either, so I'm very interested on what they have to say.
Yeah, and I can't wait to go abroad. I want to live somewhere for a couple years myself and like try to, you know, see just the difference. Because I know some places don't even have crime. Like,
yeah.
What is that like?
We gotta try now. What is no racism?
Yeah, like what
systemic
is,
racism gone. What?
What is all of that? So we're gonna get into this video. Please like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really...
So I've been living in New Zealand for the last 4 years, and at work there was an American flag, and I jokingly went and put my hand over my heart and said the Pledge of Allegiance, and everyone was kind of like, what is that? And I was like, oh, it's a Pledge of Allegiance. So basically growing up every day at school at like 9 o'clock or whatever, we would all stand up and the whole class would recite the Pledge of Allegiance with our hands over our hearts to the American flag in the corner of the room. And my coworkers were like,
I know.
Exactly.
What?
I feel that. I definitely did that.
You know, when you say it out loud, it sounds a bit culty.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really...
So when I was in high school, I was a lifeguard, and during my lifeguard training, they taught us that before we even administer first aid or CPR, we had to ask for consent to avoid being sued. Now fast forward a couple of years, and I'm in London as a waitress, and my company sends me to go do CPR training. And while I'm there, they go over the same stuff that I learned in the States, but I notice that they're completely glossing over this one particular area. So I raise my hand and I ask, what are the laws here? Like, how do you avoid being sued if something goes wrong? To which every single person in the room starts laughing at me and says, oh, you're American, right? Yeah, no one here is going to sue you for trying to save their life.
An American...
I always thought that was really weird with the fact that, because I met a doctor and he saved this lady's life, like on the plane. Like they were probably, I think 2 hours from where they were. I think they were flying out to Michigan. And he was a doctor. He was like, do we have any doctors on board? Do we have any doctors? And he saved her life, performed CPR on her and everything. And she sued him. She sued him. And it was like, why do, I don't know necessarily understand why people sue. I guess to get money, or maybe.
So was she want him to just let her die, or?
He said he would never ever do that again. He said he would never ever do that again, simply because of that.
That's crazy.
So.
You'd be surprised working in the hospital how many times we experience that, or experience people talking to us crazy, and we're the ones that are helping you. Yeah.
Some people don't want to help. Some people want to die. I think they have a better life. They don't have a good life, so they feel like, what's the point?
Yeah, you can do that in the safety of your home.
Currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really matters?
So in the U.S., I regularly get pneumonia. Sometimes I get like pneumonia and bronchitis, but pretty much all, you know, like clockwork, I get it. I had just moved to Scotland for my master's, and I was coming down with a respiratory infection like I do every year. It was just the early onsets of pneumonia, but like normally I wait to the point of where I'm like literally unable to breathe before I go to the doctor because it's expensive in the US. Well, here I was like, you know what? I'm here. I paid for the NHS. Let me go get it. Saw a doctor, gave me a prescription. I went to the pharmacy to pick up my medication, something that I literally would not be able to afford with my minimum wage job and being a full-time student. They gave it to me for free because it was necessary, and I almost cried in the pharmacy.
It's a sad truth.
Like tears were welling in my eyes.
This one time that
Because I got a couple friends that work in the pharmaceutical industry as far as on the business side. Because a lot of people don't realize that, bro. Like, yeah, you could. Those people make more than doctors. Like the people that's producing the medicine and like helping it be manufactured and put into bottles and things like that. The people that's all over that, they make more than doctors. Why do we charge for medicine?
I don't charge for medicine.
Capitalists.
Well, yeah. Why do pharmaceutical companies charge for medicine? What do you mean? Like, for gain, for capital,
Yeah, true.
for money. It's all about money. It's not about saving lives. It's about literally asking people how much would you spend to save your life.
Yeah. And that's what kind of is like sucky, because you're like, you know, if anybody that's not from America on here, like, you could explain how do you guys do it, or like what is done, because our system is very backwards. It's like, I don't want to say like, I don't even want to speculate population control, but it's dumb. Like, you literally have to, EpiPens, it's like 50 to 100 to 200 to 3. It can range from that. Like, I never understood that.
That's crazy.
made you realize that America really messed you up?
Okay, so I live in New York now, but I used to live in England, and one time I was out at this bar with my friends, and these two cops walked by. And one of my friends was like, oh, I wonder why there are cops out right now. And I looked at the cops, and I got really confused, and I was like, those are cops? And my friends were like, yeah. And I was like, they don't have guns. And everyone was like, why would they have guns? They were like so aghast at that question. And I realized in that moment and learned that guns, there are so few guns in the UK, and it's such not an issue that like the everyday cop does not carry a gun. And I was just, there are houses in America that have seen more guns in them than a fresh vegetable. It blew my fucking mind. I think about it all the time. I hate guns so much.
Yeah.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really...
In the US, I could not let my 11-year-old son go outside and play by himself. Someone would call the cops or something would legitimately happen to him, and so there was no way. And when I moved to Germany, my husband, who's a German national, suggested that he go outside and play by himself because we would not have to worry.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really...
So I didn't realize this until I moved abroad, but Americans have a very strange concept of freedom. Like, when you're growing up, you're always told that America is such an amazing place, and, you know, it's the land of the free, home of the brave, but, like, I keep hearing these criticisms from people like, oh, yeah, but America has the most freedom. Wow, yeah, freedom. I mean, there may be a few exceptions or nuances, but in the UK, you're still free. Like, that is the biggest lie that Americans are ever told, that there aren't other free places. Like, I don't understand. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I feel like the concept is kind of destroying American democracy. How ironic. Like, they need to kind of understand that they need to work on things to make themselves better and more free for their
American currently living...
100%.
I feel like being in America, like, I get it that other places are worse, but there are places that are better.
Yeah.
Like, there are places that are better, and I know people for a fact that have lived in these places, and they literally look at us like, bro, why do y'all do this? Like, this is weird. Why do y'all have so many guns? Why do y'all have so many fast food?
It's not like we chose this lifestyle. Like, literally the way we were brought up was in this way.
Yeah.
It brainwashed us at this point to believe that all this stuff is normal. Like, it's going on all across the world when it's really not.
Yeah.
Abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
Okay, so I'm not currently living abroad, but I did live in Australia for a few months. And one night while I was there, I got a little bit too crazy and I ended up on public transportation without a phone. And I had to find my way back to my apartment and I got lost. And while I got off the tram to get onto a different tram to take me home, a middle-aged gentleman came up to me and I immediately went into attack mode and I was like going to kill him. And he was like, no, I was just going to tell you which tram to take to get back to Preston. And that was when I realized that in Australia, I didn't need to be afraid. Like, granted, take precautions, but I didn't need to be afraid of every man. But in America, I still am.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one...
Now, public transportation in America, boy, that's different.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in Dallas.
Oh,
you see
yeah.
people with they bleeps out, and especially some of the men, because, bro.
Mental illness.
Yeah, and drugs run rampant in Dallas. Like, it's one of the top places. So those people don't have nowhere to go. They hop on different trains. They don't pay no fare. And they'll literally harass the women. So you don't have to be afraid of every man at night, because I'm one of those people that'll help. And I have helped women get home and when they were lost or this, that, and the other. But public transportation in some of these cities and states in Texas or in the United States, it's like, bro, how do y'all like...
Couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's a weird vibe, honestly.
Time that made you realize that America...
So I don't live abroad anymore, but for half of 2018, I lived in Germany and I have so many stories. The town that I lived in had like a main plaza area and there was a cafe in that plaza. So a couple of my other American friends and I decided to try it out one day and there was a construction site nearby. We heard a really loud bang and, you know, we kind of assumed that someone had fired a gun. And so we like ducked for cover and then we were looking around frantically trying to find like a place that we could run to or hide to get out of the situation. And then we realized that no one had shot a gun. No, it was a loud bang from the construction site. That's it. That's all it was. We'd been speaking in English and we all have really obvious American accents, so all the Germans around us gave us these really sad looks like, oh, these poor Americans.
An American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
Okay, so I moved to Sweden. And when I got here, I wasn't feeling too well, so I went to the doctor, and the doctor recommended that I get an EKG, an electrocardiogram. Now, instead of worrying about my health, my first reaction was, I'm sorry, I don't know if I can get one of those, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford it.
Yeah.
And this sweet little man, this sweet, amazing doctor goes, did you not pay the, like, $20 when you got here? I ended up getting a regular EKG, a 24-hour-long EKG, a blood test, and a freaking checkup for $20. Best part of this entire situation is that I am getting better and I am getting the medical attention I need without going broke.
I can speak personally, because that time I was dehydrated and I was on fluids. With me being an employee of the hospital, it still was $200. And that was basically the employee discount. Like, if I wasn't an employee, it'd been a lot higher than that. Just for one bag of fluids.
Why?
I don't know. I really cannot tell you.
Oh my God, we live in such a... Because I just can't justify like people having to pay an excessive amount of money for their health. And then knowing on top of that, I don't know, our society is basically ran off a corporation. So some things you can't prevent, but you still charge somebody $1,000 or $200. You're an employee, so you're actually coming into contact with multiple people on a day-to-day basis. Like, why do they have to charge y'all that much? It's wasting time.
It's one time that made you realize that America really messed you up.
I pride myself on being an American. I didn't make it out before COVID, but to Norway, and I fell in love with Norway. I read about it, researched it, and I was like, I've got to visit first. And I only went for a week, and it was for the Inferno Metal Festival. And for the first time in my life, I was actually called an American. They didn't assume where I was from. And there was this beautiful Norwegian elder, and she says, "God påske." And I said, "Beklager, jeg snakker litt norsk." And I said, basically, she said, "Happy Easter." And I said, "I'm sorry, I don't speak a lot of Norwegian." And she goes, "Oh, you're an American." And she didn't worry about her purse. She didn't look at me sideways. And I cried. I cried when I left, because for the first time, I was able to be just an American. I didn't even hardly drink, didn't do anything crazy.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really...
So during the first lockdown, we have an elderly neighbor, and we would go and check in on her every once in a while and like get her groceries if she needed. And progressively, she started not be able to breathe very well. And we knew it wasn't COVID because she had it before. But like at one point it was like she couldn't even get to the door without like literally not being able to breathe and having to sit down. So my partner decided that we needed to call an ambulance for her and get her to the hospital pronto. And when he told me that he was going to call an ambulance, the first thing that I said was, "Are you sure? Can she afford an ambulance? Like we could just drive her." And it wasn't until my partner looked at me like, and that it clicked that, oh, that's not a worry here. And then I went upstairs and cried, because it really smacked me in the face that as Americans, we are conditioned to not worry about someone's health first, but to worry about whether or not they can financially afford to see a doctor and get help.
An American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you?
So I moved to Germany in 2018 as a study abroad student, and I had a nice apartment that was on the ground floor with a nice patio, a big door that opened that led to the patio. And I was minding my own business in bed one day. The door was wide open. I had my noise-canceling headphones on, and I heard these really loud banging noises coming from outside that weren't very far. And I'm like, that's not a firework or a firecracker. It can't be. I freak out because as an American, I'm like, I'm about to get shot. Somebody is shooting up all of the student apartments right now. So I call all of my friends and I'm like, did you hear that? Am I crazy? Do we need to call the police and whatever? And they're like, I don't know, but yeah, maybe call your boyfriend who's German and like ask him. So I call my boyfriend and I'm like, watching, we just heard this stuff. Like, what's going on? And he's like, not to worry. Here in Germany, we don't have shooters. Those are probably just firecrackers. And I'm just like, I'm damaged. Like, we are all damaged and freaking out about frickin' firecrackers. We think we're gonna get shot up.
What is one time that...
Remember the other day we was at the fireworks show and we heard like, obviously we knew it was gonna be fireworks and firecrackers, but we heard like 4 in a row and we were like, hold on, you heard that?
It's just, honestly, the reality with these mass shootings at this point, like, you have to be overly careful.
Yeah.
And overly vigilant. Like, you can't just go out and have a good time anymore. It's said that you have to go out and look and plan an escape route if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Not just go in there and have a good time. You're like, I have to plan ahead just in case. And that shouldn't be the case.
And we were outside. Like, it was 4th of July or so. We were outside. So the fact that we're outside and we're like, because over here in America, they shoot churches, they shoot schools, they shoot daycares, they shoot outside at festivals. Like, it doesn't matter, bro. Like, they will, like, it will.
Did you realize that America really messed you up?
Hey, I live in Ireland and I've lived most of my adult life here. I moved to Ireland in 1995. My teenage daughter was born here many years ago, and when she was born, I spent 2 nights in hospital before she was born. I had an emergency cesarean section, and then I spent a further 6 nights afterwards. The total cost to me was 0. I kept asking them, like, are you sure no one wants my credit card? Like, do you want my details so you can send me the bill? And they would just like laugh, like, oh, you're American, there's no bill. So 8 nights in hospital, emergency procedure, 0 bill.
American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
Okay, I have another one. When I was studying in Spain, we had our orientation the first week of classes, and our program director sat us all down and had to explain
Sure.
our health insurance to us and how it worked. And basically, it worked that you paid like €1,000 for the semester, and you got health insurance, like free health insurance for everything, covered everything. And she had to sit us down, and she had this big group of Americans in a room, and she was like, "Listen, if you are sick, go to the doctor." And we were all like, "Yes." And she was like, "No, like Americans don't go to the doctor. You won't go to the doctor when you're sick. So I have to tell you every year to do this, and still kids will just put off going to the doctor because you're used to just like pushing through illness. No matter what it is, I don't care if it's a cold, go to the doctor." And she had to actually like spell that out for us.
What's a really weird thing that your body does that you're not sure any?
I was basically like very similar in the sense of America's basing it off of money. We struggle at protecting people.
Yeah.
Like,
it's very sad.
Healthcare, yeah.
It's very sad. It's just, honestly, it seems like the basic need for healthcare in America is a struggle to receive.
Yeah.
Basic things, basic medications for these people's everyday lives. These people, us, for our everyday lives.
For real.
You know, it's a struggle to reach,
For
and
real.
I think it's terrible.
Yeah. Well, I can't even fathom. Maybe we go to a different country and
see what.
Yeah.
See how they like that.
Y'all run these numbers up, please, because we gotta fly out to have our child and get health care and be safe. I may move to Germany. I don't know at this point in my life, but we shall see.
Well, thank you for watching our video. If you like the vibe so far, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Or you can comment, subscribe, and like. Either way.
Either or.
So baby, sit down, let's over. I wanna get straight.